Not yet.
Now we are. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. This is a between seasons little recap. Here's what you missed. We have some questions we're gonna go through.
Yeah, I think Q&A episode.
Yeah. So
A little more
What-
low key.
One of a few Q&A episodes probably because we have a lot of questions.
Yeah, we got
True.
the I think the amount of questions we got,
And then we're also asking for more still. So
but it's impressive the amount that we got initially. Like apparently, like there's so much out there that like, yeah, we probably could do a couple of these.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Overwhelming support.
so yeah, we plan on
a lot of
kind of
them are
making
like,
this
Yeah.
not regular, I guess, but like making this a thing.
yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, at least for a little while. Yeah, should be easy enough.
Anyone want to sum up what happened in season 1?
You're the DM.
I mean,
Fucking
yeah.
break it
You're
down,
Like I
bro.
said,
We're
I
the
was
storyteller.
planning on doing a whole like video by itself just for that. I don't know if I'm
Oh,
gonna do that
okay.
here then, but
We came to Matorka. Politics happened. Fought a demon, and here we are.
We
Yeah.
fucking won
Look at that.
We did.
Fucking
Yep.
summed.
and now we're gonna go kill
more.
bad people.
Yep.
Yeah. On the hunt for Nagash again.
We're gonna go do a whole Pirates of the Caribbean arc.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's gonna be fucking awesome.
With vampires.
Yeah, with vampires.
Sure.
Pirates of the Caribbean with vampires and undead stuff.
That's just regular
pretty
Pirates of the
fucking cool.
Caribbean though,
Yeah.
with vampires. All right. Yeah. So what's
Let's get her
our
done.
first
What we doing
question?
here? What's going on?
First
Fire-
question is I'm gonna do for Kronk because I know you have a bit of a time commitment.
Do it.
How did Kronk and Edgar meet and become companions? I'm really excited for this one. I was
Fuck.
reading through the
The
questions. And I'm like, this one, I don't even know this one. So yeah,
The
what's
funny thing is, I remember you getting this question, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, how did they meet?" Because I don't think we ever covered that on the pod. It was one of those things where they started out, and it was just like Kronk
Yeah.
was originally like starting off as a warlock, so he had the he went the route of the pact where you get your like greater familiar kind of thing.
Pact of the Chain. I think.
Yeah, I think it was Pact of the Chain. But Edgar was originally like a warlock familiar, and after we like remade him, because warlock wasn't exactly what we kind of had in mind for the character itself, for like its playability. We just kind of stuck with him. So for me, canonically, Kronk originally got his power after defeating Yzma in Matorka. There was kind of a moment where he was given, like, lent power from Tzeentch to best her because she was also imbued with power. So it was basically like a Tzeentch v Tzeentch off, kind of reminiscent of what we just did in the last arc. And he won and was gifted some relics, which were basically his Sentinel shield, which has the emblazoned eye on it, and his, like, circlet crown that he always has with him. So during the adventures, as he was getting more power, Edgar would have been like a gift from Tzeentch, like a boon for doing a good job and whatnot, and some of the shenanigans going on between like his manipulations and machinations dealing with like Gregor and all that stuff, and his like tricksy doodads. So Edgar basically, yeah, would have been like if your parent got you a puppy for Christmas for being a good noodle last year. That's essentially how he got Edgar.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Fargrim? How did Fargrim and Gary meet? And has Gary always been a part of this campaign?
Gary was not always part of this campaign. I'm pretty sure we met in, was it Albion?
Yeah.
Yeah. He kind of came up on the party, and it wasn't at first like,
Yeah, I did not expect
Yeah.
you to be like,
Right,
I have
like-
a pet snail now. I was like, oh yeah, there's.
Exactly.
We
I,
were
like,
doing
rolled-
a side session.
It was, yeah,
I don't
it
even
was a
think. I'm
side
pretty
session.
sure I
No.
wasn't even here.
It was
when
just Fargrim and Kronk. We did a side session and we were investigating.
And it was kind of like love at first sight. No, I'm just kidding. But
Kind of was though.
but I don't know, for some reason, like I was drawn to the snail, and I decided, you know what, like instead of killing it, I was gonna try and roll and see if I could like make it my companion, like my pet. And I rolled, I think, a nat 20 on that.
Yeah.
So Amber graciously was like, you know what, like we're gonna make this happen for you. And since then, honestly, like the bond between Fargrim and Gregor,
You mean Gary?
sorry,
Gary.
Gary and Fargrim, has just grown a lot, and now like Fargrim would like pretty much do anything for Gary, and they just have like this connection to where I know like Gary would also do anything for Fargrim if like it came to that. So it's kind of really cool, and we just like, especially in the beginning, we're like inseparable. Whereas like now, granted, like since we were in Maturka and stuff like that, like he couldn't have him like for the majority of like where he was going. But when I first got Gary, like I did not like I refused to go anywhere without him. But yeah, since then it's just grown. Was there a second part to that? I can't remember.
Was he always part of the? But I think you're.
Yeah,
yeah.
he was,
You touched on that.
Yeah.
It was super funny because when we first encountered the flail snails in the cave, Kronk tried to like pet it, and my animal handling role was like dog shit. So the snail wanted nothing to do with me, and then Fargrim was like, I want to play with it, and rolled like a nat 20, and then they just fucking immediately bonded. And from the rest of that, it was just like, can I bring the snail with?
I remember.
Yeah.
I do remember the days where you just brought Gary everywhere, though. Like
Everywhere.
like we were trying, like when we were fighting the wizard where we got Kronkmart all the louds from him. Like,
Yeah.
remember Gary was trying to get in the door,
Yeah.
just
Little flail snail tendrils
Yeah.
sticking through like the doorway and shit.
stuff like that.
Like he would
wild.
not he would not leave, like in the beginning
always-
especially, he wouldn't leave Fargrim to go anywhere without him unless like he physically couldn't fit. And if he physically couldn't fit, he's gonna try to get at least one of his flails where he can fit somewhere.
I know Gary did die trying to defend the party from the
did.
Big Spice and Albion.
Yeah.
He did.
So yeah,
We brought him back.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
Gregor
Yeah.
burnt a wish spell to resurrect
Not a
a
wish spell.
snail.
It was like mechanically worked.
It was
like,
basically
Yeah.
a wish.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ulrich sent Gregor on this jihad, and so Gregor completed his mission.
Right.
And Ulrich manifested and was like, like you did really good work, son. Like you did it. Like you get one boon.
Yeah.
And
was-
Gregor asked for Gary to come back.
And that was the last time like Ulrich like did something nice for Gregor, to be
That
honest
was
with
the
you.
last
Yeah.
time I got any sort of positive feedback.
Yeah. Well, you just got a note.
But
You got a note.
I got a note.
A suspicious note, but a note.
But
Right.
yeah, I just remember.
But yeah, Gregor did save Gary, and
Yeah, and then there was a whole
he's
thing.
regretted
There
it
was a
ever
whole
since.
timeline that we went on where the forces of decay were trying to
Yeah.
come through and like
Yeah.
reclaim
There was
Gary.
like some
Yeah.
Nurgle action trying to claim
Yeah,
Gary.
like there was we had a decent amount of time where like Gary was like the centerpiece.
Multi-episode mini arc of
Yeah.
trying to save Gary from Nurgle.
Yeah.
and I think that was
Wild.
before we
That
even
was pre-
started
that was
the
pre-
that was
podcast.
before.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was like
pre-pod.
right before the
Right.
That was before I joined.
Yeah.
So the podcast really started like when like Gary started becoming like a little bit less of a main character. But before that, there was a lot of like different lines that kind of drew to him. Like I said, the Nurgle one was a lot of fun too because like he was sucked into that like dimension door.
The Realm Gate.
The
Yeah.
realm gate, yeah, and like Fargrim was like ready to like sprint after him. I think Gregor stopped him.
So I was like, dude, you're not going to
Yeah.
the Garden of Nurgle.
Yeah.
He's like, you will
bad
die
shout.
there.
Like you're not gonna make it.
Yeah,
Like,
we were only like level 5, 6, or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that at the time.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not that strong yet.
like, dude, like fucking chill. Like
Yeah, but it all worked out. It all worked out.
Did it?
I mean, he's
Kinda
here. We're here. We're live.
Yeah.
He's faster. 5 speed.
For,
So yeah, that's right.
for a few more days.
Until the paint wears off.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
I have a multi-question one for Gregor. What's up with Gregor's parents? So like, what happened to them? Like, was obviously you're half orc.
Yeah.
Secretly, no one knows. Like,
Allegedly.
yeah.
mom was a human.
Yeah.
Dad was a human.
Mom was like the way I was picturing it, where like mom got abducted by like an orc raiding party.
Okay.
And then, so, because like Gregor originally was like born and started his childhood as a member of an orc community, but then like the White Wolves of Middenheim came in and like murdered all them. But like Gregor, like even though everyone around him was dying, he was just a child. Like he still tried to like 1v1 these adult knights, and they respected like his intensity and his fire, so they like basically adopted him because they realized like he's not a full orc. Like he's kind of a human, and like kids got balls, so
Sounds right.
Game respects game.
yeah, real respect's real.
How that's actually ties into one of the second follow-ups of this question. Like, how old was Gregor when he got taken in?
I did never put a number, like a specific number on it, but I would guess like young, like
Like young, like
older than 5, but younger than 10, like somewhere right in there.
somewhere in
That
there.
seems
Yeah.
reasonable. Yeah, like 5, 6 years
7.
old, somewhere
Yeah,
in there.
young, like
Picking up some sword, trying to throw hands.
yeah, like a sword like that's bigger than he is, but
Yeah.
he's still trying to, and he's strong as hell, but like
trying to fight the good fight.
yeah, because he's just like everyone around him's dying. Like he saw his dad get cut up, like
Yeah.
he barely remembers that. That's something like he like obviously like kind of repressed, but like yeah, he watches like his dad was a warrior in the tribe, and like the White Wolves of Midnight came in and just smoked that dude. Like
Gregor repressing memories? Not
no way, bro.
I don't know what you're
Nah,
talking
dude.
about.
Gregor has nothing but a healthy relationship with his personal psyche.
of course. He's the best.
He is, dude, he is. It's canon. He's the best.
Ack.
Boy.
Who's Ack's favorite dad, Kronk or Gregor?
Well,
Of
now it's
course.
Ulrich.
Yeah, we've both been usurped.
Yeah.
Ulrich is Ack's favorite dad, and I mean Gregor
Gives
is
him things.
Gregor's his
Gregor's
brother
his
now.
brother now.
Greg, I didn't realize Gregor signed up for like the Big Brothers Big Sisters program.
Brother Gregor.
That's exactly what you just got roped into. But yeah, I guess that answers that question out. Now it's Ulrich.
Yeah, good one.
And yeah.
Dodged that one nicely.
Yep.
I got one as DM that I'm also going to open up to everyone else. Advice for players wanting to try out DMing, or just honestly, I'm just going to say like new people to the hobby. Like,
Yeah.
what do you recommend for people? Honestly, for me, if you're trying to DM, have a good group of friends. Read at least vaguely look over the rules so you kind of know what you're doing, and just go for it. Like, you're gonna mess stuff up. Like, obviously we call each other on stuff constantly. That's why we have Ben. He's our rules lawyer.
I am.
Yeah.
Just go for it. Don't expect to be perfect. Just like do your best.
Don't
Yeah.
don't stress the rules too much.
Yeah.
Like check them so you kind of have an idea of what you're working with. But like, if someone has an idea and it seems like reasonable,
Yeah.
just kind of like go with your gut.
And it even
you
says
think
that like in the
Yeah.
DM, in the
Yeah.
DMG, it says like the rules realistically are more like guidelines.
Yeah,
Like they're not
exactly.
hard and set.
Yeah, you can use as the resident rules lawyer, you can use the rules to be very specific about things, but also at the end of the day, the DM gets the final say, and
Yeah.
that's even part of the rules. Is
Yeah.
that if the DM doesn't want that rule to apply in that situation, they're allowed to do
Yeah,
that.
it doesn't have to.
So as a new DM, be prepared to make that thing, and just like another big thing is just talk with the table beforehand.
Yeah.
Just make sure
Yeah.
everybody knows what
Communication.
you're cool with.
Yeah, have like so that would make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
have a vibe for what you're shooting for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that way you as the person like telling the story knows like it's easier to know where the story's going if you know where the players want to go. Like you don't want to like run like a grim dark noir when everyone else just wants to like go around and be murder hobos. Like
Yeah.
everyone's just gonna be miserable at that point.
Yeah.
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 Just gotta
And-
be on the same page. Session
think-
0.
I think open communication, like players
Yeah.
to DM and vice versa, I think is like the key for just like a cool, a fun game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, as long as everyone is on the same page with like, you know, what you guys are doing and where you want to go, I think that's important. Also, just having fun. Like if you create an idea and, you know, you tell the groups like, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking about doing in this situation. Like even, you know, even if it is not 100% true to like the rule, you could say, hey, can I potentially do this? And the DM can either say yes or no. It doesn't, like he said, doesn't have to be hard set. And that's like why a big reason that homebrew stuff exists, because you could take like the outline of like maybe a stat for something and say, hey, I want to work this, but like I want to flavor it in this way. And again, as long as the DM is okay with it, you guys can just be as outside of the box as you want to be and have like just have fun with it.
Also, maybe as a DM, maybe just have like a list of names.
Yeah,
On
that's
hand.
yeah.
That
Right.
helped me
Generate
my first
NPCs.
time. Yeah.
Or honestly, like I feel like we don't use them that much, but if you're a new DM, like don't be afraid to use like one of the pre-written modules.
Oh yeah.
Because like
100%.
that, those books literally tell you all the MP. Like they do a lot of the legwork for you.
Yeah.
So like especially as someone who's just wants to maybe give DMing a try, I'd pick up one of the pre-written modules like Lost Minds of Fandelver. I've run
That's
like
a good one.
I did when I was like a brand new DM, and that one's really nice.
Dragon Queen's Horde is really fun.
Yeah.
Dragon of
But the-
Icefire
the-
Peak, that's how we started.
Yeah.
There's tons of really great pre-written modules, and especially if you're maybe not even that comfortable with D&D as a whole, but like you think DMing would be cool, and you have a group of friends who want to play, and none of you are that experienced with D&D, that's a great place to start, I feel like.
Yeah.
Just because it does a lot of the legwork for you.
Yeah.
So you just like I'm running a campaign right now for like with my siblings and stuff. We're doing Curse of Strahd, so like I'll just read the parts of the book that I feel like we're gonna hit that session, just so I kind of know what's gonna happen, and then like I'll sprinkle in stuff of my own. But like the book does a lot of like the map's already there, the town's already there, the characters are already there, like the quests are already there, like a lot of the
you got
legwork's done for you. So then it's just you kind of changing things as you see fit,
Right.
and it's just life is easy.
Yeah.
And if you do decide that you don't want to do a pre-made campaign, for example, like the ones that I've kind of created, I think the easiest way to do it that I've noticed is kind of creating a very rough, simple outline of like who your bad person is gonna be, the obstacles you want to put in the way, and then just the very simple like monsters you want in situations, and just let them do it. Because I've noticed if you try to like create, they have to do this, and then this, like through this they're gonna get to here, and then from there they're gonna make their way over there, you notice that that's never gonna go that way, because they're creating the story, you're not creating the story.
People come up with weird shit.
Players
Yeah.
will never do like you
No.
will make the most linear, easy thing. People will dig a hole to
Right.
find a way around whatever you put in their way. Like just
Right.
be prepared for your party.
So
to
yeah,
do
sometimes
something
like
weird.
when prep is concerned, sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
Right.
Players-
You got to be able to improvise. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Players are more oblivious to things than you
Yeah.
as the creator would recognize.
or even just
Yeah.
like say like, guys, I really need you to just do this. Like I've done that a couple times. I'm like, guys, I just go here, just please, just go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like, don't be afraid to just go with the flow. Like I've noticed sometimes too is like you guys give me better ideas than like what I had like in
Hell yeah.
mind.
Yeah, just feed
I was
off
like,
the
you know
table.
what?
Yeah,
like
somebody will
that's
say something and be
actually-
like, "Fuck yeah, that's what we're
I
doing."
think that's
Like-
a really great idea. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like that sounds more fun than what I had planned. So we're
Yeah.
just gonna go
Yeah,
ahead
dude,
and
did they
switch it up.
kidnap him and take him this place? Yes, that's exactly what happened.
How'd you know?
I do that with puzzles. I'm like, oh yeah, here's a puzzle, and then like, oh that's an interesting solution. I didn't think of that.
10
Yeah,
minutes
that works.
goes by
yeah.
and it's like, oh,
Right.
you found the answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. Just have fun.
Yeah, just be creative.
All right. What's next?
Why do we talk about pussy so much?
Because it's life.
Well,
It is.
It surrounds us, binds us, penetrates us.
Oh god.
I don't.
Next question.
Got to give the people what they want.
It's not what they want.
What's our for the whole group? What's our favorite part of doing a podcast? For me, it's the headset.
Yeah.
I love. I don't know why, but I just feel so much more like professional and like in the zone. Like we used to have a huge issue with like we would have like 45-minute conversations about not even
true.
related to D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
The-
mic headset
We've
keeps
some-
people,
Keeps
like,
us way on more on
involved.
topic.
We only go
It's pretty
off
nice.
like 10-minute tangents now.
Yeah, I think the level of focus we've been able to achieve was way more than anything we did like pre-pod.
Oh yeah.
It's also a lot easier to not end up with everyone talking over each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can get really excited.
Still
and
do it sometimes. but-
Exactly. But you get super excited, and with the headsets on and stuff like that, like you have everyone talking in your ear.
Yeah.
So like you're noticing things and paying attention. Whereas like if you're sitting next to someone, you're more inclined to be like ending up in a conversation.
Yeah.
And then like other people are in a conversation and you just end up kind of like in a gaggle fuck. But
Right, because most people aren't paying attention. They're
It's easy to
just
get
like having their own thing
it's a
going
big
on.
time sink sitting and like playing D&D for
Right.
extensive periods of time.
And to be honest with you, especially for the people who are more soft spoken than others, it's very easy
Yeah.
to be
Yes.
like, I guess, like,
You can
what's
get
the word?
drowned out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like
You can
drowned
end up
out.
talked
That's a good
over,
way to
yeah.
put it. Whereas it's hard to like get your input in,
Mm-hmm.
or because someone else is like obviously like taking lead.
Yeah.
So, but with this, everyone gets their point across, or everyone has a minute to talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like they said too, like you just get engulfed in it.
Yeah, the flow of having like the setup
Yeah.
just seems to improve the like RP quality too. Like
Yeah.
it's just so immersive just the feeling of just like being
Right.
like kind of in it.
Sorry.
It is the immersion,
That-
man.
But, yeah, I think that'd be my favorite thing. It's just like how immersive and involving having like the headsets and
Yeah.
everything is. It's,
I-
it's a really cool feeling.
I really like hearing everybody very clearly.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
I obsess over stats, so that's been my thing.
The analytics man.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you are
Hell
the one
yeah.
where in the group chat,
The numbers
guys, we have,
mason.
we have this many
obsess.
downloads.
Yep.
I obsess. Yeah, I check it 30 billion times a day on all the different things that we have. But whenever that number goes up, I get a spike of serotonin.
Serotonin.
So,
Oh hell yeah!
so the more you
dopamine hits.
listen, the happier I get.
Yeah, don't leave the man depressed.
Yeah.
Listen twice. Listen thrice.
Just fire it up.
Just do it again. Run it back.
Yeah.
For me, it's definitely like just like our homies or like people just like commenting or just people seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was wild because it's literally just us
Feedback is
being
super
fucking
nice.
stupid sitting around a table in my kitchen.
It's so cool what
But-
like because you mentioned this before. You hit me up and you're like, yeah, so and so was talking about how like he really liked Kronk during the council scene like 2 or 3 episodes back.
Yeah.
And it's just like I'm just like hanging out and I see the and it's just like that's cool.
Yeah, it's
like
cool.
someone was listening to the episodes and was just like, hey, like that was really cool. And it's like because you don't think of it like this, but realistically, we're all acting. So it's just it's
kind of like
rewarding.
it's kind of like voice acting.
Yeah,
in a
like
way.
we're all just and even with the video and stuff like that, like a lot of times we're like physically acting things out and stuff like that, and it's just cool that like other people are enjoying it. And
Yeah, or even like on our Facebook, like we've had people who listen, like they'll listen to an episode, then like make memes.
yeah,
From the episode, which I
And
think
it's
is
just
so
neat.
awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, shit always like never doesn't hit.
and like even just these
Feels the
questions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they-
or yeah,
super
the,
cool, where
dude,
it's
the
like-
fact that when you guys were like, yeah, we got like 2 pages worth of, I was like, holy shit, like that's so cool that people who would listen like give a shit enough to even think of a question.
Exactly.
You know?
yeah, exactly. And
That's
and
so cool.
the engagement from you guys is everything.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it's so
just
fun.
yeah, it's so fun and just makes it so much more worth it. Just I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just it feels
100%.
good. It really
Yeah,
feels good.
100%.
Feels great.
Back to Kronk. Who killed Kronk's parents, and were they ever found and or punished?
I don't know.
Okay.
That is one I can't answer because I left that one open ended in the creation of Kronk because fucking pro gamer move for anyone getting into D&D making a character. Leave some open ends in your backstory.
Yeah.
Because you can leave that up to your DM. So there was parts in the storyline where it's like I returned to Matorka and I have no idea what to expect because it's like, yeah, I had this big battle with Yzma and then I left and I came back like a decade later and suddenly like I'm a hero and I'm just like, oh, okay. And like I had no idea any of that was coming. I didn't know how people were gonna like react to me. Like having my seat on the council and stuff like that was all a surprise. It was just leave open ends in your backstory for your DM to operate with so you can kind of build that dynamic together. And yeah, as far as Kronk goes, like his parents were killed, but he doesn't know who did it or why. He was very young. He assumes that it's because like the cutthroat politics of Matorka at the time was like just very Game of Thrones-esque, and his family had a lot of political power, and it was likely some kind of a rival or something. And then he was just kind of taken in at a super young age and raised by Yzma, who was like a magistrate.
See, this whole time I thought Yzma was the one who killed your
Yeah,
parents.
I did
same.
too.
I don't
honestly,
know.
yeah.
And that's
I don't
why
know.
like y'all like had a showdown.
I do not know.
beefing.
You know?
No, we had the showdown because she murdered the emperor.
Oh, okay. So, yeah,
And
so that's-
was trying to
I learned
get
something
Kronk to help with that because Kronk was like brought up by her in the mages college and she was like the head magistrate to like the emperor and she betrayed him and like tried to have Kronk like poison him and was like kind of blackmailing him and he rejected it, but she found like a different way to basically get the poison there, killed the emperor, and Kronk knew who was responsible for it and confronted her, and they had like their big battle. But he fled the city thinking that like he might end up framed or seen as responsible for it, for like killing the emperor and killing Yzma, the magistrate, and didn't want to get in trouble for that. And he also got like visions from Tzeentch of like, here's what I need from you, here's where to go. And he had like the vision of the tavern of like seeing all of you there. So he embarked on his quest, and that's how he ended up meeting the party.
Cool.
I will just want to add that for new players, leaving open ends does not mean don't write a backstory for
Correct.
for your characters. Always have a backstory.
Yeah.
Just make sure there's like stuff that the DM can take and work with.
Yeah, leave something to the DM, and you can even work with the DM when making your
Oh, yeah.
backstory and stuff like that. Just come
Most-
up with something.
Most DMs will love if you like hand them a
Exactly.
couple pages worth of backstory.
Oh yeah.
You don't need a
Yeah,
book.
'cause it
though.
shows you give a shit.
Yeah.
You don't need a book.
I mean, if you decide to write a book, like I made an entire like tri-folded family tree once, and I gave it to my DM, and she almost cried.
Yeah, like stuff that shows you care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows you
it's
like you're
big.
taking it seriously.
It's super cool, like being a DM and coming up, like, because you invest so much time and energy into your like story building and world building with your players and stuff like that. To see that like they're as invested and interested and stuff like that is always super nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is super cool.
All right.
Bouncing over to Gregor. Okay, there's two good ones. Was Gregor accepted as a kiddo by his peers, or even growing up? Like,
No, he was always kind of an outsider. Like,
oh,
like he had a couple friends. Like we had that time where we went to Matorka and like saw another knight that like
Well,
was one of his homies. But for the most part, he was kind of a pariah. Just because like
Black Wolf, isn't he?
yeah, that's why he goes by the Black Wolf of Midnight, because the order is the White Wolves of Midnight, but because like sure they took him in, but he's still different and never really accepted, and that's why his moniker given to him by his peers and superiors was the Black Wolf, like the black sheep.
Yeah. I always thought that was really cool.
yeah.
It's just like the little detail.
It is.
Thanks, guys.
I think it's lame as fuck.
It's fucking stupid.
Because you're a fucking lizard racist.
Whoa.
So, second question, because that was a short one. Ulrich, is he mean to all of his sons, or is it just Gregor?
That I don't know, because the amount of lore, like, well, I mean, the lore I have read, like, Ulrich is not like warm and fuzzy typically, like in general. But I mean, as far as specifically, I don't know. I mean, if you ask me right now, I guess not, because Ulrich's laying a hell of praise on Ack these days, so maybe not. But no, like typically, like in Warhammer Fantasy lore, like he's not really viewed as like a warm, loving deity per se.
Ben,
That's me.
when first invited to join the campaign, did you consider a more conventional race, since Warhammer is not really good at cohabitating, or you're just like, I want to be weird?
I mean, I just wanted to play this character, and I honestly, coming in, didn't entirely know. Well, I didn't know anything about Warhammer, let alone Warhammer Fantasy. So I had zero idea at all. And Ack was actually a character that I played in a one-shot previously that got TPK'd.
Damn.
Yeah, fighting an adult red dragon. But like since he got killed in a one shot, and I was trying to join a new party after that one shot, I was like, well, that was really cool, and I just want to play this character again. And I met you guys, and you're like, yeah, come on, join in. And it's like the backstory that I had for Ack just fit in perfectly with you guys having like just kind of recently beat the Big Spice.
Yeah.
So it was just like a perfect, like, okay, cool. Like, this is the character I want to play. We can kind of fit it in here. Like, I guess we're just, we're kind of hand waving a little bit of the, like, acceptance. But for the most part, Ack is sort of treated as, like, a pet everywhere
like
we
an
go.
exotic pet.
Yeah, he's not, like, I mean, we make jokes that Ack is racist towards everybody that doesn't have scales, which he is.
But like,
The
But,
world is
like,
pretty racist.
Yeah,
anyway.
the world
Yeah.
also doesn't see him as, like, a living sentient being for the most part.
as a person.
Yeah, he's not a person at almost every place that we will go to.
I think in Matorka he's kind of gotten there.
Yeah,
He is
well,
now.
now because he's just proven that he
fucking
is
knighted.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
like
He
that,
earned it.
That took him punching the head off of a greater demon of Zinch in the police office.
And even that, he's still not a full Inquisitor.
Yeah,
They're
and
like,
he's still not a full Inquisitor. To be fair, even by Kobold standards, he is still technically a minor. Kobolds mature at the age of 6, and Ack is only 5.
Can't even vote legally.
Yeah. But I love all of the weird races, like minion races for the most part. And I don't know if you've watched any of our one shots and stuff too. I apparently just like playing like the small creatures, because I played a goblin in one. I played a Urung Deep Ulung was a like a small creature.
R.I.P.
The goblin, yeah, and Ack is a small creature. I don't know. They're just fun to play.
you have the opposite of small people problems.
I do. I am very tall.
that big people complex.
Yes.
Yep.
I want to be small.
Kind of, yeah. I don't know if that might be some weird psychology behind it, but I love weird
It
characters.
works.
And I feel like they're like the minion races are kind of like fun and underplayed, and it's
Yeah.
cool to like bring them up to like, okay, well, normally you're a minion, so now you get to be like,
In the spotlight.
yeah, you get to be the hero now. Even if Ack doesn't quite understand that yet.
Fair. Hey, Cindy, are we ever gonna find out what happened to Fargrim's wife and kids on the pod?
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of working toward. I know it's kind of gradual and potentially like frustrating for people here because you're only getting like snippets here and there. It's like when he's either like too drunk or like bad nightmares. And I know it's kind of hard because like you're almost kind of hearing the same stuff, but it's kind of working up towards what actually did happen. And once Fargrim like does realize or get like his memory back for what actually did happen, then things might go kind of sideways for him, or maybe not. Honestly, it really kind of depends on where he is at that point in the campaign, like mentally, and like how stable he is. But I mean, for the most part, like from what you guys have gathered, like he does know that they are dead. You know what I mean? Like through obviously like all the blood and all the gore from the dreams and stuff like that. Like they're no longer alive. But it's just a matter of
Because
how they
Fargrim
died.
himself doesn't even really remember. Really, Fargrim
Our
for a
wife.
while there. Fargrim, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong. Fargrim almost like forgot about them or like blocked them out.
Like
yeah,
repressed
yeah.
memory.
So, basically, like he remembers what he was like told of how they died, but that's pretty much all he knows. And like you said, like he kind of like repressed a lot of that and a lot of those memories, and that's why they're kind of coming back as flashbacks. But
Do you mind?
you guys are just gonna have to stay tuned, I guess.
Do you mind sharing what Fargrim was told happened, or do you want to keep that on the DL?
Yeah. I can't. Okay, I might have to look at my background because I can't remember what characters it was, but he was told that a specific like species. I think it was
I think
like
was it orcs? Or
no,
was it?
no, it wasn't
elves?
orcs. Nope, it wasn't elves. It was like a smaller like creature.
Gobos?
Yeah, I think it was goblins actually.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
Gerblins?
Yeah, I think it was goblins.
Boblin?
Yeah, he was told goblins while he was out at war, broke into his home and he killed them, and that's why he decided to become a slayer, because he feels like he failed his family for leaving them after he technically retired. So basically,
Damn.
going back to what happened. So he was the right hand of the king. They fought together for a very, very long time, and then he retired. And then the war with the elves happened, and he was summoned by the king to come back like for one last fight. And his wife begged him not to go, but he was like, "This, it's my duty, it's my honor." So he left, and then when he came back, they were dead. So he kind of blames himself for leaving, and that's why he felt like it wasn't potentially like the honorable thing to do to like for his family to leave them. So he decided to be a slayer, and the rest is history.
I have a question for Cindy.
Yeah.
Was he always that wide, or did he just get super into just like strongman style weightlifting after he became a slayer?
Well, I mean, realistically, he did lift a lot of stones. He is a dwarf.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, was the girth like? Did he just start like he became a
I
slayer and
think-
just started really fucking hitting
I
the
think-
weights?
Been
I mean, he-
wide, just
yeah.
gotten wider.
Yeah.
Well, he did have a lot of muscle, and he was wide because obviously, all dwarves do is work, right? They're just constantly working all the time, and then like being, in the military and serving and all that. It definitely adds on to his mass, but a lot of it was gained after he did a lot of his traveling, because he was like constantly on the move, constantly going, constantly fighting things, and he just didn't give himself any rest. So just over time, I just kept building and building.
Eating
Sorta like-
7,000 grams of protein
Yeah.
per day.
Sort of
Yeah.
like a tree where just every year he gets like a half-inch wider.
Yeah. Because like
With,
even among
with
other
age, gets another
dwarves-
like
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah,
Just-
Because even like all dwarves are wide, but even like among other dwarves, like he's a freak.
yeah,
You
He's
know?
wide.
Yeah,
absolutely.
like-
He's a wide boy.
Yeah.
But again, not a lot of dwarves really
Peak
leave their
Hole.
their holes. Yeah. So the fact that he's constantly going, exercising, doing stuff, it just needs more calories. So he goes ahead and consumes those calories, and the beer. The beer gut's real.
Yeah.
It's not just a power gut; it's a beer gut. So it's definitely stone, because
hard as fuck.
alcoholics. Yeah, when they're like really alcoholics, their gut feels like a fucking rock.
It's a beer belly.
His
Yeah,
is
the
just
beer belly.
actually a
So
rock.
it's yeah, so it's kind of what's happening to him too.
All right.
There's one for me. How did I get interested in D&D Warhammer? I got interested in Oh yeah, I see you guys. D&D. I started in college with some friends. Kind of grew from there, and then Warhammer. I started dating Dylan, and he and his buddies were all super into Warhammer.
It's called indoctrination.
And I was really into D&D, and I'm like, well, because Warhammer is an expensive hobby, if you don't know. But
Fucking A.
and I'm like, well, D&D is really cheap because you need like a $30 book that you can. Don't tell Wizards of the Coast, but you can get it online for free as a PDF if you Google it. Don't.
We don't
legally-
endorse that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
don't
don't
endorse
endorse that, but
Please support the official release.
Yep.
yes. But yeah, so I'm like, well, let's start D&D, and I tried to get him and his buddies into it. Cindy, you were really against it at first.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
she
'cause-
was super, because I had been wanting to play D&D for a while,
Yeah.
and then you were our golden ticket in because
Yeah.
none of us knew anything about it, but we all thought it'd be cool. So you were the golden ticket of like, oh shit, like we got one.
It's
Well,
attainable.
Yeah.
I was kind of at the place where it's like, man, last hobby you guys got me into, aka Warhammer, has put me like through
That wasn't it.
$1,000.
That wasn't it. That wasn't it.
But it is. I was like, I can't, I don't want to do this. Like,
No,
this is more nerd stuff that I can't
That's what it was.
handle.
She was like,
you
it's
know
too
what I mean?
It's too
Like,
nerdy.
She's like, it's too nerdy.
Exactly.
can't,
She's
like,
like,
yeah.
it's too much.
You hit
Yeah.
Warhammer, there is nothing nerdy.
Yeah,
there.
she's
There
like,
is
it's too
nothing
nerdy.
right. Well, I don't know. I was at a point where it's like,
Everything
we
else
got
is a step
one.
up.
Why do we need
and then
another
we were
one?
deep into like our first session, like level 2. We started level 2.
Yeah.
And she's like, fuck, this looks fun. Like, I want to play. So she made like sitting next to me quick. Like, I printed her off a character sheet. And then like I was still playing. She's had the PHB open, made Fargrim, and then Amber like inserted him like as the relative of an NPC we met.
Yep.
And then that's how it started.
That's funny.
Yep. So yeah, it's definitely been interesting because you guys didn't know the D&D lore, and I didn't really know the Warhammer lore. So we compromised and we set the D&D game in the Warhammer Old World, which DMing knowing absolutely nothing about the lore has been a very interesting experience.
We basically had to be like, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings ish, except everyone's racist.
Yeah. Except everyone fucking hates each other.
Yeah, that's why communication between DM and players is really good because I could be like, well, yeah, this is kind of like the vibe I'm going for. Like, what god is this? Like, with that bow.
Yeah,
the
we had to
cursed
like
bow.
interpret it. 'cause
Oh,
she's like,
Radolf's
"Here's-"
bow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I'm looking for something of like a trickster thing, and we're like, okay, well, Warhammer Fantasy, like a trickster god, is like Reynold, so we like reflavor things and stuff
Yeah.
like that to fit like the setting and whatnot. But yeah,
Yeah, and I came
good
in
time.
with D&D knowledge and learned a bunch about Warhammer 30K. I still have no idea about anything about
Fantasy's
Warhammer
cool.
Fantasy.
Old
Fantasy's
World's cool.
pretty
I
fucking
still
good.
got nothing.
It's a good
I
time.
know the map
Overworld
because
is
I
cool.
looked it up for this campaign.
Yep.
It's a lot of really fun books.
Yeah, I'm still trying to make it through the heresy before I start 40K stuff. So
Yeah.
Oh, I prefer 40K stuff, but that's my.
I really
personal
like
take.
30.
I
They're both
really,
great. I think
I
they're
really
all-
like
I think it's
30K
It's
too.
all
I
wonderful.
think
you're
it's
wrong.
all great.
You're wrong, and your opinion is wrong, and you should feel bad.
I do feel bad.
I won't. I refuse.
All right.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
Can I have a question?
Yeah,
for
go
you?
for it.
No.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like, our characters right now are kind of moving towards like an Eisenhorn feel? Where it's like there's so much like, what's
reference,
happening
too.
with like both of you guys, but you're using it for good. Do you feel like it's kind of like an Eisenhorn type thing where it's like he's
I don't know what that
using
means, so
he's
I don't know.
using like the
I mean,
like,
I have said on this
non-
podcast multiple times that it's
Gregor
not
is
a coincidence that Gregor the Black Wolf is named Gregor the Black
Sure,
Wolf
sure,
based
but
on the
Gregor-
character Gregor Eisenhorn.
But Gregor himself, though, isn't using like chaos related things.
Not really.
You know what I mean?
But he's
Or-
become more tolerant and accepting of it as
Yeah,
an ends to a
that is
means,
true.
which is how it started with Eisenhorn.
That
And
is true.
I've been using a poison dark elf fucking whip for
Yup.
ever. Just like
Ben knows nothing about Gregor Eisenhorn other than that Gregor is named after Gregor Eisenhorn. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
that series
Okay.
is
It's basically
Get a
like a
pet
good
demon,
guy.
right?
I kinda
accepts
get it.
bad
it's the
stuff
Yeah.
for a
concept
good
of
reason.
like if you spend enough time hunting beasts, you become a beast yourself.
Yeah.
Is basically
I get
his
that
arc.
concept, but yeah, that's not what. I mean, Axe not willingly using dark forces to like make an ends means. Act legit, especially at this point. Act legitimately thinks these are like just either his powers
Yeah.
or something Ulrich has
Yeah,
given
so
him.
either
and
all
are
gave
not
him to
bad.
you or like
This
he's
is
just
him.
juicing you
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Like
enough.
Act does not see these as chaos powers, does not see them as the bad powers he's using for good things.
Right.
They're just some things he can do, and where they come from and what he does with them are not really of his concern.
I know Kronk specifically is very much like a Zinch sorcerer in the aspect that like he isn't out looking to like destroy the world or anything, but he very much is looking to change the world. He kind of has like a very like new world order energy going on where he's like there's a whole bunch of bad in the world and I have the power to change it. And he is always pursuing more power and knowledge to that end of like bettering things overall in his image. But he doesn't really balk away from the means to the end kind of thing.
I have a question. You say bettering. So is Kronk trying to better the world in his image because he feels that is the best for everyone and that he is the North Star?
Yep.
Or is he doing? Or is it more the energy of I'm trying to
subconsciously.
better the world for me?
It's more of like some Thanos energy.
Okay.
Where it's like I have the
Interesting,
power to change things whether people realize that it's in their best interest or not, and I'm going to do it. That's kind of the Kronk energy where he's not evil in like a malign, like despicable way. He's evil in a manner where it's like that's why he's lawful evil, because he has like a code. Like he won't just kill people for no reason or like be brutal to people and stuff like that. Like he doesn't have that kind of energy. He's more of like, I will do what needs to be done because it needs doing and someone has to do it. And I have the ability to be the one.
So is Kronk then like at this point? So you're saying that he wants to better the world. He wants to
Yeah, he's kind of
be
an
a
anti-hero.
good change, right? So is he at this point then like using Zinch to get to that and like just
Yeah.
telling him like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm doing this for
Like, he
you, but
understands.
like
It's kind of like a mutual
and like
thing.
and like throwing him a bone here and there and be like, yeah, this is for you, Dad. But realistically, like you're kind of just using him for like beefing up your powers to kind of get
a little
to
bit of
your
both.
own
Yeah,
goal.
it's like Kronk recognizes that chaos is not something that like is without cost.
Yeah.
So it's like a mutual business arrangement kind of thing where it's like you give me power and the ability to do the things that I want to do, and in return, I help you attain your ends as well in
it's
certain
like-
aspects.
It's like a warlock pact.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a warlock, but it's a mutual arrangement kind of thing. He's not as much of like a servant in his
Yeah.
eyes as like a partner.
Yeah. You give me powers now, you get my soul when I die.
Yeah.
okay, cool. Sorry.
So just a kind of round robin because some version of this got asked for everyone. Like, what inspired everyone's characters?
Do you want me to start? You're looking at me.
All right. I'm just looking. There's a
just go
light
around
in
the
that
table.
direction, and
Okay, I guess yeah, I'll start. So for me, my favorite Legion in like Warhammer that I started with was the Thousand Sons, which Kronk takes a lot of derision from because the Thousand Sons, their whole thing is basically like they were good guys who dabbled in powers they didn't understand to attain like good things in their eyes, but were in the end brought down by the things by kind of like their arrogance. And that's kind of Kronk's thing as well. And I wanted to do something with like a chaos sorcerer who's not just like a bad guy, because everyone was like good in the party, and it's Warhammer. It's like the setting where you can get away with being in that like gray area and be like a bad guy and things like that. So I wanted to do something where it's like he's a good guy externally, but has like some bad guy things involved and whatnot, and kind of ride that line and have that interesting dynamic. And so I kind of pulled some inspiration from like the Thousand Sons characters and whatnot in Warhammer, and then like your kind of usual style of like the anti-hero thing where it's like fucking Deadpool, for example. Like he does good guy things, but he also like he doesn't fucking
Murders
hold back.
people.
Like, yeah, he'll kill the bad guys, or like fucking he'll kill the good guys if he needs to, if he thinks it's for the best interest, you know? Like he kind of does his own thing.
I mean, I kind of went over like just Ack being a one-shot character, which I do. Even for my one-shot characters, I still make backgrounds because that's just how I make characters. But it's just kind of my love of the minion races, and like I like taking someone who's smaller and like would be normally underestimated and bringing them up into like a cool character. And I get a lot of random ideas for cool characters all the times. Like I was messaging you guys that one day I made like 11 characters. Just because I'll just randomly get hit with oh hey, that would be a cool character. So I've got like I think 37 pre-made characters on D&D Beyond that are just sitting around waiting for me to use them, and it's just what I do. Yeah, Ack is just supposed to be like fun and like not knowledgeable about the world, and because it's just especially that wasn't intended for this setting, but it just worked out really well because I don't know anything about Warhammer Fantasy, and I'm just learning about Warhammer in general.
It's a cool way for us to teach you stuff about the setting.
Yeah, because Ack can just ask questions because he legitimately doesn't know, and then that informs Ben
and
in the meantime. Yeah, and the viewers.
And viewers.
So yeah, that was not on purpose. It just happened to work out really well for all this. Yeah, Ack's just sort of my ADHD incarnate. I like having fun, asking dumb questions.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
We learned that in the council setting.
Yeah.
Fair.
It's funny. I had one of our patrons came up to me after the council episode. She's like, "You and Cindy both were just being the worst."
I think I said it that episode. I wasn't there to say dumb shit, so somebody else had to step up.
Yeah, they were pulling your weight.
Yeah, she's like, "Kronk was trying so hard, and you guys were." I was like, I don't even remember like what happened. It's like,
As Gregor would.
I have the memory of a fucking snail. Like, but
Oh, that CTE.
Triggered.
but no. So Gregor was so a couple different things became the culmination. That is Gregor. Part of it, a big chunk of it, was when we started this campaign, Mandalorian like season 1 had just came out. So I was like, damn, the whole helmet thing's pretty kick ass.
Faceless protagonist.
Yeah. I was like, damn, that's pretty fucking sweet. So I was like, how am I okay? Maybe I can do something like that, So then that's why I came up with like he's got to hide his identity because Warhammer Fantasy, like a half orc, super like he like in most cities like he would be killed like on site.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, like and then add some depth. The whole he's hiding his identity because like he's trying to prove that he's not really a monster, you know. But then at the end of the day, he's still a half orc, so he's still super intense. And then you combine that with he was brought up in like this super zealot indoctrination. And then I just kind of took like his overarching arc of like kind of playing in that gray space of like going too far, but still like trying really, really hard to be the good guy is very Eisenhorn-esque because like he goes too far. He goes off the deep end like on the regular. Anybody out there, not trying to drop spoilers, but anybody out there who like wants to read more about Warhammer 40K, definitely check out Dan Abnett's Eisenhorn series. It's awesome. And then that's what kind of why I came up with the name Gregor, because I was like, Gregor Eisenhorn is like one of my favorite characters in all of like lore. So it's kind of just a fusion of all that of like trying to like first start like plagiarizing the Mandalorian, and then like. And I was like, okay, like how do I add depth? And then like, what's a good, I was like, oh man, like Eisenhorn's really cool, and like he's like a demon hunter type of vibe. So I was like, this kind of this would be a cool template to kind of.
It's like 90% of D&D.
It's just plagiarism.
Like think about all of your favorite things and find a way to like make it yours.
Yeah, and that's basically what it was. It was like this gives me at least a blueprint, a starting point, and then I can take it from there. And then over time, as we're playing, the characters have kind of grown and turned into even more than when we first sat down. But that's pretty much it.
I do want to say it's really funny. When we first sat down, you guys were like explaining the setting to me. You're like, yeah, like everyone's super racist, and like if you're not like a human or an elf or a dwarf, and if you have anything to do with chaos, you're just gonna get killed on the spot. And like, I'm like, well, do you want to like roll that back so you have some flavor and creativity? And you're like, nah, like it's gotta be really grimdark. Other than the characters you guys gave me, we have a Tzeentch sorcerer, we have a
Yep.
half orc. Someone else did something. KJ.
Tanner.
Dave was playing as Cake, who was
Oh, yeah,
a
that's
fucking
right.
polymorphed dark elf sorcerer.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
and,
had
and Dan
our-
was like a necromancer or something.
Yeah, Dan
Yeah,
was
every-
like an Empire soldier who was like
Dabbling in necromancy.
Yeah, you guys made these really strict rules
Yeah.
for yourself, and then immediately everyone broke the
We
rules.
all went straight to the gray area.
Yeah, but everybody I think like did that good job of like
Yeah.
Yeah.
putting on a good
Yeah.
face, but yeah, behind the scenes it's like
Once you know like the rules of your setting, it gives you a lot of opportunity to like work with your DM and other players to like create stuff that kind of borders on like the gray areas of what's allowed and what's not. Because it makes it fun where it's not just like normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for a large part of the campaign, no one else in the party knew that Gregor was a half orc.
Kronk was the only one who knew super early on because he can like telepath and mind read shit.
Yeah, and it was like, hey man, be fucking cool.
Yeah,
you know?
and Kronk is a fucking closet Tzeentch worshiper, so of course he doesn't give a shit if someone's got something to hide like that. Like, it just gave him an in to like become really close with Gregor, and he and Gregor built like this super good relationship
Buddy
of
cop.
like trust. Yeah, because like he kept his secret, you know, and never outed him, and there was like this big trust dynamic, which worked great for Kronk because he's a fucking Tzeentch worshiper, and he is a paladin that purges chaos. So it gave him a super good cover, and happened to turn into a really good like actual buddy cop friendship.
Yeah. All right, so I guess for me, what I kind of based Fargrim off of when we decided at first that we were gonna do this like old world Warhammer style universe within D&D. I kind of just thought back to like the very first book I ever read in fantasy, which was Godric and Felix, and
Great
that's
book.
it's a William King book, and it's about this dwarf who is a slayer, and that's the first time I ever like encountered that, and I didn't even know what a slayer was before this book. And you know, when I was reading it, I was like, man, this dude is super cool. You know, he's again like Fargrim, very roided out. He's not afraid of anything. He'll run in the battle every time, and that's kind of what I wanted Fargrim to be. I wanted him to be this like badass little dwarf barbarian who's not afraid of anything at all, and if he dies, like, you know, that's okay. You know, he's just gonna do his best to regain his honor, and he feels like that the only way he could do that is like purging the unclean and monsters that are potentially like preying on people, you know. So that's kind of what he's based off of, and I've had a lot of fun with him.
His growth has been awesome.
His growth has been interesting.
It's been cool because like it started off and you weren't like super into D&D and stuff like that, and he was like
Yeah.
very generic dwarf slayer. Like there wasn't that much to him, and then you like found Gary and you started developing like that relationship with Gary, and suddenly the character had like
Feelings.
an attachment and
Yeah.
like a partner instead of being like this lone like relationshipless like
Dwarf.
Yeah.
broken individual. And now like he's got fucking like dyed hair and nipple hoops and all this crazy shit.
You say
It's been
stuff.
awesome.
You say words that aren't just "I am Slayer,"
For real.
which is
Yeah.
nice.
Super
Yeah.
cool.
Because
Like,
yeah,
it's been like this organic growth of the character that's been really fun.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You know, he needed a little bit more depth to him than
Hot
like
take?
what I started with. And you know, originally for Fargrim, like before he even met the party, like he was never with anybody. You know, he always was alone, finding monsters, finding things to kill, and he never traveled with any kind of companion. So this is like he's just learning to grow like socially and personally, and like trying to realize that like, you know, yeah, your family's dead, but like maybe you can still be happy. And that's kind of what Gary has done for him. He kind of gave him like a reason to, I guess, be allowed to be happy, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what you mean.
What is happiness?
I don't know. I'm not gonna go into that though.
That's a
For another
different pod.
podcast,
Yeah.
But
What you got next?
I'm gonna have to get.
Yeah,
going
I think
for-
that's a good wrapping point. Thank you to our sponsor,
Yeah.
Load Boost.
Oh.
They do a lot of really good supplements,
Yeah.
vitamins. Anyone have a little spiel about
Supplements.
experience?
They're good for you.
Buy Sleep Boost. Take 2 a night. You'll be happy
Dude, Sleep
and you'll
Boost
be
has
healthy.
changed the game for me
Fucking
entirely.
real,
It's
dude.
insane.
Shit's awesome.
Yeah,
Check it out.
10% off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Code word dice or use the link in the description.
Good, yeah. 10% off your whole order. Go get yourself some.
Stay boosted.
Stay well, stay boosted, dude.
Let us know what you guys think about these Q&As. If you
Yeah.
like them, if we
Well-
should have more of them.
100% do another
Definitely
one.
Yeah,
have more of them.
keep the questions
Yeah,
coming.
we
We'd
still
be
have
more than-
questions that have come in.
That was like a
to go
full
over.
hour,
Yeah.
and I'm really bummed I have to go to work because I would do a whole nother hour. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
just cool to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
fun. Like,
Explore the,
Yeah, it's just
the
neat.
details.
All the little things that you don't think about explaining because it doesn't like just come up, but it's like it's
Yeah.
good to like get out there.
like even as
Yeah.
a player, like hearing a lot of this stuff about other people's characters, like it's just cool because like a lot of that just doesn't come up organically in
Mm-hmm.
character. But yeah, it's super fun.
It's because like our characters realistically, like they don't talk about how they're feeling.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
never really been the
Act
group
does.
dynamic. We
Exactly.
just kind of
So
accept
Act does all the
that.
time.
right.
But even like in real life, like you don't go up to like your coworker and you're like, "So what traumatic thing happened in your childhood?"
Yeah, like you never
Yeah.
really bring that up. It doesn't
be a
just
weird- yeah.
happen. Like there's got to be a reason for that
Yeah.
to come up. You
I don't know.
know?
We get really bored at my work, so that
Ben, I think you're just a different kind of a person.
He's just built different.
I feel like your work's not like that at all. Like, oh, not the board. Like, I'm not. I mean, like the talk about past traumas part. Like,
I mean, oversharing is a very common thing when you get
Is it?
enough time to talk to each other. Yeah.
fair
enough.
Yeah, I'm guilty as shit of that too.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like,
We
When you
all
see
are.
it, when
We
you're
all are.
seeing each other for 9 hours a day every day, it's like shit gets overshared.
hey man, no.
Yeah,
But,
nothing wrong with it.
but I just want to say thanks for everybody out there, like sticking with us for
Yeah.
the whole season. Like, we got
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
the fact that we did a season 1, and
It's like 35 episodes, I think.
it's like
That's a lot, yeah.
we're getting some traction and stuff to where it's like, hey, we're gonna fucking fire up a season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep her moving.
You know,
Second arc.
yeah, like that's just it's pretty awesome. Like I didn't expect as many people to like it as apparently
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Picking up.
So
And you know what, guys? Like, honestly, your feedback is everything. And even if it's negative, like, we always want to learn different ways to,
Yeah.
like, be better, to grow. And realistically, like, the only way we're going to be able to do that is hearing what you guys have to say about it, you know, your opinions and,
Yes. Leave a
different-
comment
yeah.
or a 5-star review.
yeah.
right.
Even if you don't like us, the 5-star review will make us read it online.
It's true.
Yeah. And even if you don't like us and you give us a review, then maybe we could reflect on it
Yeah.
and
Yeah, leave some
try
constructive
to,
criticism in the comments or something.
I
you
can
know?
change, I swear.
I can't.
No, I refuse to.
The
I'd like to
Zinch
think I
worshiper
can,
won't
but-
change.
No way.
You think the heavy-handed can change?
That makes sense.
Gaslighter of gods?
That makes
I
sense.
mean, he is changing. He didn't
That's
outright
true.
kill.
All of the characters have
yeah.
evolved
I've branded that
very
guy.
differently.
Yeah.
than
Yeah, you
everyone
branded
thought.
him. You
but you didn't kill him.
cut off. What was it? You did to that one
Blood
heretic.
you didn't blood eagle him.
Oh,
You
or
cut off
gouged
like
out
his
eyes.
hands, his feet, and you scooped out his eyes or something.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
Or the guy who like I tied his corpse to a road sign.
dude, Kronk did
There's
that
been a
shit once.
lot of stuff you guys have done.
You've done some. Trunk done some dark shit
Yeah,
that like
Kronk
nobody
cut
talks
out
about.
the tongue, eyes, and chopped the hands off
That
of a
was-
drought sorcerer.
No, me,
so they
there
couldn't
was that
use
dude.
magic.
I think that again. I think that was pre-podcast.
That's
Once
way
we started,
pre-podcast.
Yeah, there
when
was
we
that one-
started the podcast, everyone like mellowed out quite a bit and like the dark shit that they did too.
I don't know.
Little
Axe
bit.
started
I don't know, dude. I
threatening
killed
to-
those goblin parents.
Still not. I don't know. It's still
Yeah.
not
Axe
as
started
gruesome as
threatening
we
to
used to
burn
be.
people's houses down all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. Or there's that one Tanner joined us for one character, and his character admitted that he had entertained killing Gregor.
Oh,
So then Gregor just fucking murdered him.
Killed him first.
Because like I healed him and I brought him back to like 2 hit points. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I was gonna kill you." I'm like, "What?"
His fucking head stopped.
all right.
All right.
Thanks
We'll
for
catch you
listening.
guys on the
Yeah.
next
I'll see you
one.
guys.
We'll make another Q&A soon.
Peace out,
probably.
y'all.